Michael Mathis, owner, CEO of Arturo Tires. Michael, so
Hey, how you doing,
tires are
Alex?
very expensive. I'm sure you get calls all the time for people wanting tires. How does a tire sponsorship work? What does it look like? And are you looking for more representatives?
Sure. So, yeah, tires are pricey, and it's unlike most shocks anyway. It's something you use a lot of throughout your race season. Multiple sets of tires just for one race weekend. So that's a little bit of a difference when we look at sponsorship, is the stress that it puts on the product demand that people need, in addition to, people who might be seeking, monetary support over and above the product. So that's a bit of a difference with tires from what you might see with some other products. But to answer your other question, yes, we're actively out looking for particularly UTV class racers. So that's a new segment that Arturo got into last year. And so now kind of repeating the formula that we had with our regular light truck product, we want to go racing.
So back in the olden days, there was a program called a 50-50, 50 tires, 50 grand of cash. Is that still applicable, or what does a sponsorship look like in terms of what you can offer to racers? And we've heard a lot today on the call that media is a lot that is offered, maybe a little bit of money, a little bit of product, and a lot of media. What does the sponsorship from Arturo look like?
Well, it varies depending on who the racer is, what series they're in, and obviously kind of where they fit into that. And a big thing for us is, what else do you bring to the table other than the racing? So that sponsorship might start just with a discount, a racer's program for purchasing tires. Then we move into full or partial product sponsorship, and then of course evolve into a product and cash type of a deal.
You just mentioned purchase at a discount. That give me an idea, and I forgot to ask Rams this. I'm going to ask a couple of the panelists this. Do you have affiliate programs with any of your brand ambassadors where they represent the product and they can actually earn a royalty from helping you sell more product?
We haven't done it with a royalty, but what we would do is give them a discount code that they could use through particular resellers of our tires. So that, again, that's one of the things that the question that we ask to somebody, who's coming to us for sponsorship is, what do you have to offer as far as any sales potential?
Yeah.
Do you have any reach or opportunity that you could bring in that way for us?
And B2B, I suppose, and what other brands a driver would bring on board if they have a wheel sponsor, and perhaps you want to sell your tires alongside the wheels at certain retail outlets. I assume that makes a lot of logical sense as the other sponsors that a team has.
For sure. Yeah. Are there synergies between all the sponsors that we can get? And that's something, again, when a racer wants to come to us or to another brand, they need to be mindful of, kind of who else do they already have in their sponsorship group, and how could that be a compliment for us? And I think as sponsors, we love to have those kinds of opportunities where we can, to the point that he was just making about how the brand can help support the driver. That's where, you really look at the sponsors as part of that team, and we can all help each other.
As part of that team. So how long do your teams usually last? Are you short-term, 1 year, 2 year, or are your sponsorships long-term? Like we heard Johnny Greaves and Monster and BFG were 30 years or 20 years. And then Rob Mack, BFG's 30 years.
Yeah, ours vary a lot. I would say that most of our race teams, once if we work well enough together, and that's both ways, we've got to be the right fit for them and they've got to be the right fit for us. We seem to see those kind of last for a good 3 to 5 years, at least, once we've kind of gone through the preliminaries with somebody.
So I've seen your cars parked at King of the Hammers and recently at Off-Road Expo. Your brand ambassadors, your reps, they are out also marketing, not just at races, but also at just consumer events. How much value does that add?
That's a huge deal for us. There's only so many. I mean, a busy race series for off-road racing, might have 10 dates, maybe a little more. What are you doing for me the rest of the year? Can you come out and join us at Off-Road Expo? What are you doing behind the scenes that's interesting to our mutual audiences that you can share for us? Are there, could you go visit one of my dealers for an open house with your truck? Do you come to SEMA? Do you go to the AIM Expo? What else is out there that you bring to the table, that you have to offer to us to add that value?
So that's a really good point. In off-road, there's maybe 10 to 16 events in a year and some of the larger series. Do you structure your sponsorships based upon the series that the team races in, or are they annual sponsorships? So they have to fill in the void during that downtime, like you just mentioned.
Well, that's one of the things that we use to evaluate somebody is what else do you do? Where else do you go? Nice. What are you doing in the off season? Nice. And that's something that we want to take into consideration in order to make it an annual kind of a program. There's so much more value for us there that we want to be able to keep the message in front of the consumer that, hey, Arturo's active in this particular market. We need somebody who can help supply us with that content year round. And again, outside of the races, think about all the prep time that a race team puts in before that 2 to 3 day event. Right. Where's that good content that comes out of there, that we can share along the way and that we can kind of join together on doing that telling that story of how we get to the race and then not just what happens at the race.
That's a really good point. Yeah. So we have a minute left. Last words of advice. I might have forgotten something. Is there something you'd like to say to the racers on the call who are looking to understand what brands want from sponsorship and how to get sponsored? Any last words of advice?
Sure. So I think that, number one, point out where you're competitive, even if you didn't win, what kind of podiums, what's your progress that you're making in your series. Make sure you come at us with a high quality presentation. Both at the race and outside the race. And then what else do you bring to the table? Non-race engagement, sales opportunities, content creation. Can you participate in other kinds of events to help support the brand?
And then George just told me we have a real quick question. So George?
Yeah, Barbara asked if, Michael, where did the name Arturo Tires come from?
I wish I had a great story behind that. Quite frankly, it was a brainstorm session where we kind of threw a lot of stuff out there and tried to come up with it. And I joked that I should have named it one of my kids Arturo just so I could have at least told a better story on that one. But yeah, that was really just a brainstorming session of what we did and a whole lot of other stuff that went into kind of coming up with it. But it really doesn't mean didn't come from any particular underlying meaning.
It's like Yahoo, Google, and Arturo. Just
there you go.
Out of the blue. It's a great name. Michael, thank you. Thank you for taking the time.
I appreciate you having us. Thanks, everybody.
All right. I'll see you at SEMA.